Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Centimetre Perfect AFL podcast, Just the Tips edition. That is Jesse. I am Liam. We're back here for round 11. Jesse, it's coming up. It's another round. It's a very hard round to tip. We'll get to all the points and all the systems in just a second. But before we do that, get involved down below. Leave a comment, like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, do all those things here on YouTube at CMPerfect_AFL. On Insta, Spotify, Apple, and Amazon for the main podcast as well. Jesse, could I have rattled that off any quicker and more succinctly than that?
You missed your calling as an auctioneer, Liam. Maybe time for like a third quarter life crisis for you.
That is the most. See, I can't do it now. Now that I'm actually speaking normally, I can't do it. It's the most I've enunciated in some time. I'm doing very well. Enough about that, Jesse. We've got some tips to make. Confidence points. That's how we tip here. Jesse, what does that mean, though? What does it all mean?
My team to rattle off the auctioneering stuff. So confidence points are our system for making our 2025 football tipping competition a little bit more entertaining. Instead of a stock standard of 1 point per tip per team across the round, we assign confidence points across our 9 tips based on how strong our feeling is they're going to win that game. 1 being the team we are least confident in getting the job done. 9 being the most. Whoever has the most confidence points at the end of the season will win the tipping competition, irrespective of how many actual tips they won. It's all about the points and all about the strategy, not necessarily just the tips.
There we go. That's the name of the episode.
That's the name of the show.
Beautiful.
And
Love that.
I said it. Like, share, subscribe. How much am I winning by this week, Liam?
Well, Jesse, look, I was very happy that the Kangas got up on the weekend. Otherwise, it would have been very dire for me. Here are the points from last week. Jesse, you got 7.
Quite bad.
It's still bad for both of us. You didn't get a single tip on Sunday. I got the North tip on Sunday. It was just a bad week of tipping. It's okay.
I can live with that because it actually was a bad week for football tipping across the board.
What do you do? Some guy at work got 6 in the actual tipping competition at work. I was like, bullshit. Yeah, I reckon it might be. Just random. Just see what happens. But 15 for me, taking me to 258. 17 for you, Jesse, taking you to 270, extending your lead out by 2. So that means there's only one thing for me to do. That's tip like a madman and spread my points in the most weird and wonderful ways. But let's start off, Jesse, with Thursday Night Footy.
Starting off our round at GMHBA Stadium or Goomba, if you're a fan of this show. Geelong hosting the Western Bulldogs in a pretty important game for two teams, potentially finals bound. Now, Liam, as the loser of last week, you get to decide whether you go first or I go first. So what say you in that regard?
Jesse, I've been on the starting end for the last few weeks now, as is tradition, as is what normally happens. I've sent you off the first few times, for the last few weeks. I'll take the reins this time. Who cares? I will go first, and I will say that I'm going Bulldogs with 3. Now, I think this game is going to be a cracker. It's at Goomba, where obviously Geelong play. It's their home ground. They're very good.
Good observation, Len.
Thank you. And the Bulldogs are just on a roll at the moment. Obviously, take out that cross in the middle there. Those things happen from time to time. But they're just a lovely team to watch. They're a lovely team they're both lovely teams to watch, which means this is going to be a coin toss in my mind, which is why I've only gone low. I've only gone the 3. But yeah, look, I'm looking forward to this one. Jesse, what about you?
Broadly similar for me, Liam. Dogs with 4. I just sense that the Dogs midfield is just very powerful in what promises to be the Bailey Smith Derby between these two sides.
Oh, yeah.
I like the sense. I get the sense that Dogs can just accelerate away here. They're firing. They've got key players firing. That one blot in their copybook is a loss to the Suns in Darwin. That's as forgivable as you're going to see this season, I feel like. So prepared to go with them. Yeah, I think 4, even 3, maybe a shade high given these two teams are pretty neck and neck. But I just like more of what we've seen from Dogs. These are the type of games I go in expecting them to win and maybe be slightly surprised if Geelong won, but then again, it's Geelong, so probably not. But I feel like there's more firepower in the Dogs' arsenal than there is the Cats. Oh, really? It's like the domestic pet derby as well.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Just need snakes and horses, and do people keep pigs? Get them in. It's Noah's Ark at GMHBA Stadium this weekend. Take all your livestock down. Please don't do that. You'll probably get arrested.
I just love how you went from dogs and cats to snakes and horses. Well done. Everyone's favorite.
Well, they shouldn't go together, to be fair.
No, they should not. Let's move on, Jesse, lest we get bogged down in the quagmire of domestic pets. Let's go.
From silliness to seriousness, it's dream time at the G on Friday night. The Bombers hosting the Tigers in what is such an important game for the AFL calendar. In fact, so important they've built a round, or now 2 rounds, around this game. And it's such a significant event. It was brilliant when they had it in Perth. It's always brilliant when it's at the G. And these two sides, get together for a game that does even mean more than football, I think, in many ways. But we're here to talk about where those 4 points are going. I'm starting us off here. Richmond with 1 for me. Now, there is the dead cat bounce the Bombers might get off such a bad result last week. They might just be able to fire up and get the win off the back of what should be a media pummeling throughout the week. But even with the Tigers' patchy record, I think they're going pretty well for a team down there. And there's only 2 games difference between their sides. We talk about Essendon's top end a lot on this show, that the maximum capacity that they have. I think they're going to need to produce pretty close to that to beat Richmond, because when sides haven't produced their best against Richmond, they've lost to them. Carlton, Gold Coast, those sides fell victim to not playing at their best against the Tigers, and the Tigers are able to capitalise. They'll be up for this. They'll be up for a big occasion. They've got enough senior leaders in that locker room to really ram home the significance of this game. I think there'll be a point to prove. I think the Tigers can get this done, Liam. What about you?
Jesse, I have gone Richmond with 1 as well. I think it's all going to start in the middle, I think, and Dan Curvis is proving a mighty ruckman this year, and he's just going to get him going. He's a leader. He does well. These young Tigers want to win every game they're in. And I can't really say, obviously the Bombers do, but there's that tangible that the Tigers have at the moment of this young team just wanting to prove themselves that I think is going to be too strong for les Bombers. Let's move on to what is a weird game. Jesse, where is it? There it is.
Yeah, is that Marvel, to answer your question? But it is Carlton versus GWS. Neither side would win AFL's sexiest team competition for football quality.
Yeah.
I don't know. You get to talk first here.
I know.
Off you go.
Yeah, I did that wrong, didn't I? Honestly, I don't know. This is one of those games. I just don't know. Giants aren't playing good footy. The Blues can. I mean, Giants can too, but the Blues are just so like, which one turns up? And I think for this game at Marvel, I have no idea. I'm just going Carlton with 2 because I really don't know what else to do. I mean, the Giants probably should win this, but the way they're playing at the moment, who knows? Blues with 2. Jesse?
Yeah, both teams could get a bit of a dead cat bounce out of their results last week, but I think Carlton really have an opportunity here, and a real opportunity to set themselves. I've gone them with 5.
Oh,
and
nice.
The reason being is, I said this in our main show, Liam, I've not seen a side poorer this season against Wyalup than the Giants were on Saturday. I have visually not seen a side poorer, and sometimes you just have to trust the eye with these things. And they were terrible, and I don't think Carlton structurally are too dissimilar to Wyalup. I'm happy to make that a direct transference. And while I think Carlton were very disappointing on Friday night, I think 8-day break, chance to reset back at home versus the Giants off a 7-day break, which is still decent, but they have to now travel. They've got to get up for it. They've really got to get up for this, the Giants, because their place in the 8 is not assured after this week. But I think Carlton, this really is now or never for them. 4-7. I see that to be very hard to come back from. I think the sense of urgency there is bigger than it is for the Giants at the moment. So Carlton with 5, that's probably a shade high, but I've also wanted to be a bit conservative this round in other places, so that's just how my cards landed. It's
been a tricky one to divvy the points out this week, but no, that's hey, look, it worked for me with the Kangas, so who knows, it might work for you with the Blues. Let's move on to the next game.
This promises to be a cracker. Hawthorn hosting Brisbane at the MCG on Saturday afternoon. This really, really, really needs to be a good game if we're going to have to suffer through Carlton versus Giants. I'm going Hawthorn here with 3 points. Look, the Lions are not in good form at the moment, but they're still an elite level side. So you got to give them that level of respect. You look at a draw against North and a loss against Narm on paper, that's not great. But you got to give a good side respect. And they do play the G very well. For an interstate side, they get their opportunities, they play it very well. The Hawks, though, I mean, again, Gold Coast and Darwin, bit of a mulligan there. they're firing, they're fit. And I think they're a side that can take advantage of Brisbane's deficiencies, particularly at the start of games. I get the sense they could ambush here and just make life very hard for Chris Fagan in the box. Mitchell's a smart man. He's also worked under Chris Fagan as well at Hawthorn as a player. He'll know Fags. He'll know how he wants to operate. I do like that for Sam, for Mitchell and Hawthorn, so I think they can get the job done here.
Hawks with 4. I honestly, Jesse, I don't have to say much else because you've done such an excellent job of detailing why I have also gone the Hawks. Again, I hope this is a good match because it should be. But yeah, the way the Lions are, we spoke about it in the main pod. If they're in that valley, they have peaks and valleys. If they're in that valley, then they could be on the tail end of a bit of a shellacking here. Hopefully not. Hopefully it's a nice close game and affair. Next game, Jesse.
North hosting Collingwood at Marvel. Big away day for the Pies. You're up first here, Liam.
Collingwood with 9. I do like what the Kangas did last week. I like watching the Kangas play. Sometimes they're terrible to watch, but at the moment there's nothing stopping the Magpies at the moment, realistically speaking. And despite their big win over the Tigers last week, ain't going to be enough. Magpies with 9. Jesse.
Yeah, Magpies with 8. Just got that game last year in the back of my mind between those two teams. That was during the middle of Collingwood's death hangover from the 2023 Premiership. But Clarko has a knack.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I'm not going the full 9. But in saying that, you're looking at the top side of the ladder versus second bottom, and pretty clear second bottom. Like they've gotten detached from last, so they're the bottom of the competitive teams for the most part.
I get what you're saying, Jesse. I get what you're saying. Let's move on.
I see it being a mountain to climb for North.
Yeah, massive mountain to climb. Let's go to the next game.
Wyalup hosting Yarta-Pulti in the Battle of the Ports at Optus Stadium on Saturday night. That is the construction port, not the port, because Port would win that, although they're Yarta-Pulti this week, so maybe they wouldn't. But they still, I guess, do by default. Ports, Liam. I'm talking about ports. And I'm also going first, so I'm going to keep talking, not about ports, about football results. I'm going with Wyalup with 2. Neither side is going to win Jesse's Community Choice Award for best side this season. Both have irritated me no end. One through confidence points abuse, one through being my team and being rubbish half the time. Even chance both of those things happen this week, and Yarta to come out and give Wyalup an absolute shellacking. But look, Wyalup coming off an important win at home, Yarta coming off a shellacking, having to travel. They do play Optus quite well, and I still have nightmares about this matchup last season. But I do think Wyalup, it's now or never for both these teams, isn't it? I mean, there's one game between them, but there's 6 ladder spots. And it's a long way back for Yarta-Pulti if they lose this. Danger game for both sides. I've just gone Wyalup, but confidence is low on this one, Liam. What say you?
My confidence isn't as low, and I think this is, again, based on my vibes. I've gone Wyalup with 5. Okay. Now, Yarta-Pulti had a few pretty massive injuries out of last week's game, some of their key players, which you would think boosts Wyalup just a smidge in that regard, also at home, where we play well. But for me, it's a backup game. Back up what we did against the Giants, and I am putting my confidence in them to do that, which has always and never before been my downfall.
Keep in mind, Sean Darcy will probably be back in this week.
I will be upset.
And Caleb Sarong will be dropped somehow. Because, okay.
Team
and Banfield's now the captain and has signed a 25-year deal.
Well, he got his goal off the bench, so he's definitely he's solidified his spot for sure.
But hang on, but Narkle did that. But off you go, back to Peel.
Yeah, but it's
back to the port of Peel, not the port of Fremantle.
Enough ports. Let's move on.
That's true. What's happening here, Lee? It's Kawana versus Wadij Marawa. So bit of a WASA rivalry throughout this week. Both states clashing across 2 respective games, one on Saturday, one on Sunday. Liam, you're up first here, I believe.
I am.
Can you see Wadij Marawa going 2 from 2 like they did last year when they got their first win?
No.
Okay. Thank you.
Kawana with 8. Adelaide are just too strong of an opponent to come up against after their emotional win last round. Nice to see them get a win, but I think it might be a little bit before they get their second. Kawana at home are just too good. They're too good outside of Adelaide as well this year. But yeah, a bridge too far for Wallace Marrow this week, I find Jesse.
Kawana with 9 to quote their song, "Our skill and nerve will see us through."
There we go. Very good.
There you go.
Here we go. This is an interesting one.
It is an interesting one. Nam hosting the Sydney Swans on the MCG's hallowed turf for Sunday. A game that the Seagulls may outnumber the supporters for this one. I'm up first here. This is a really silly episode this week. So what happens when we take a break in between recording the main pod?
I like it. It's fun.
No, because they're going to say something like mean-spirited about a club.
No.
Like, we haven't done Euro yet, so we'll get there. Probably not a good thing they're last. Anyway, I'm up first here. Nam with 6. Sydney are awful. Nam are awful.
Yeah.
Nam are better.
Yeah.
And they're at the G. Sydney have travelled as well as custard through the Mojave Desert. They're just not. It's a puddle at this point, and it's please go and get whatever custard you can because it's evaporating fast.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly don't see it. I could have easily gone 8 or 9 here. I don't see a world where Sydney win this game.
Yeah, it's
even
tricky.
against an average side.
It's tricky with Sydney, isn't it? This year, like it's still in the back of your head. You're still like not you, me. I'm still like, it's Sydney. Like surely they're going to turn it around. They played the grand final last year. Nam with 6 for me as well, Jesse. I think you've summed it up pretty well. Yeah, but it's the Swans. Who knows what they're going to divvy up? It's one of those teams this year. Who knows? I think we do know. We'll move on to the last game of the round. Let's go.
Gold Coast leave their cushy surroundings of TIO Stadium to head down to their nightmare palace of Marvel Stadium, or potentially Damien Hardwick's nightmare palace of Marvel Stadium, where they're hosted by the Marvel Merchants, Euroke. They've won 1 in 5. The Suns have won 3 of their last 5, but have spent the last 2 in Darwin here, Liam. So Euroke can sting a team. Can they sting the Suns and cause a pretty monumental upset, I would say, on ladder position to finish the round?
Yeah, this was a tricky one for me, just based purely on that. The Suns in Melbourne are dicey at the best of times. This is going to be a massive game for them to show that they can do it in Melbourne, and you just need that little bit of a kick up the tuchus to kind of get that going.
Kick up the Tukes.
Kick up the Tukes. Kick up the Miller. And then all of a sudden, you've got yourself running in Melbourne. So for that, Gold Coast with 7. That's all.
I said this was going to be a round that would define confidence points this week, but I'm the same here. We've got, 3 games the same now? The Suns with 7. Yeah, they need to clear the Marvel hurdle, and I think maybe potentially Damien Hardwick can find an excuse to take some annual leave this week and not go because for whatever, those comments just haunt him. Yeah. He's a phenomenal coach, but there's definitely something in those walls. Like, I don't know what is it the paint?
It could be the paint.
They made like Damien Hardwick repellent in the walls. I don't know what it is, but he doesn't like it there. Euroke, I mean, dead cat bounce for them should be like a trampoline on Mars, having lost to Wally Marawa last week. They need to respond. It's that simple, but yeah, it's not looking good for them. They need to play an attractive brand of footy here, but the Suns can be stifling as good as they are attacking. They can be stifling too. I think they should get the job done here. Gold Coast with 7.
It's the round of the dead cat bounce, Jesse. Use that a few times. But before we send it home, Jesse, this is why the confidence points are so great. We've tipped exactly the same all the way down the board. It's going to come down to who loses as to who wins this round, and that's where the confidence points makes people interesting, a bit more crazy. I think so. Anyway, Jesse, send everyone home, please.
I agree. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to the Just the Tips edition of the Centimetre Perfect AFL podcast. Let me know your thoughts on which side is going to win this week down in the comments. Get your confidence points in as well if you are so inclined. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, follow us on Instagram at cmperfect_AFL and over on your preferred podcasting platform, whether that be Apple, Amazon, or Spotify. But don't worry, if you're a YouTube kid, an iPad kid, all of our content is on YouTube, including our main podcast. So rest assured, you don't need to go and do that horrible switch of an app to another thing. You can just stay here and watch, and then go and watch something else. Like, I don't know, Footy Furnace, because everyone likes Footy Furnace. Until next week, enjoy your footballing week. We'll see you soon on the Centimetre Perfect AFL podcast.
Bye, everybody.